This Jack Mallers led company just quietly bought $3.9 billion worth of Bitcoin, all while lining out how they will accelerate the MicroStrategy infinite money glitch. I'm going to dive into all of this, but there's one little wrinkle about this company, 21, that has a big connection to the United States government that I think everybody is missing. So I'm going to dive into all of that and more. But first, let's dive in to the logistics behind this new company, 21. So we are currently seeing that everybody is watching MicroStrategy. And I think at the end of the day, what this means is that Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy are winning. More companies, more people are taking the look at the famous MicroStrategy flywheel that I love to show you guys, which I've coined the infinite money glitch. Saylor's also coined it as well. But first, we're looking at all of this and showing that the MSTR, now known as Strategy, issues debt to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin increases, MicroStrategy market cap increases. Thus, the weight in the industry indices increase as in the NASDAQ 100. MSTR issues equity to buy Bitcoin. These Bitcoin price increase, market cap increases. Thus, the weight in industry increases, thus starting it all over. But let's dive into how they all believe that they are going to accelerate this really quickly. The money glitch, right? So the pure play Bitcoin exposure. 21 says that they're going to be more pure than that. They do not have any Bitcoin native operations, which 21 will have. Their existing debt balance, they're going to go all in on Bitcoin, opposed to what MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy, is doing. Their debt collateration, only about a quarter is going towards Bitcoin. Inside ownership, 50%, and their purpose-built KPIs, only about 50%. Well, 21 will go all in on everything. And I think the unique aspect of all of this that everybody is missing, at least so far, or maybe even undershooting, is that this first buy of $3.9 billion worth is over 15 times larger than the first buy that MSTR, MicroStrategy, bought with just 250 million. We already have GameStop coming in, and I'll dive into that in a little bit later, coming in at about 6 times larger. And now 21 is like, boom, bingo, bango, bongo. We're going to go 15 times larger than all of this. So MSTR size proposes questions about potential diminishing returns as it continues to purchase Bitcoin. With 500,000 Bitcoin, it must purchase larger quantities to increase its Bitcoin per share, reducing the per dollar impact of future capital employments. 21 will launch with 42,000 Bitcoin and the potential for more capital and efficient growth trajectory. So 21's balance sheet simplicity provides additional flexibility for strategic capital raises, and it will have purpose platform for Bitcoin investors to guide that specifically. So I think it's interesting. Jack Mallers, the man, the myth, the legend, friend of the program here, has now led on a new venture. Now, this is all around essentially giving people more of a levered play around Bitcoin, where they're going to be like, hey, we are going to take all ownership of the debt, and we're going to continue that and see that stack on up. As long as we can make the payments, you guys will have a levered play on Bitcoin. That will be a significantly better return than MSTR. Allegedly, at least that's what they're talking about here. So the interesting aspect, it is backed by Tether and SoftBank. And somebody else that this article failed to mention is also Cantor Fitzgerald. So we'll go into all of that and who Cantor Fitzgerald is. But they plan to trade under XXI, which is the Roman numeral for 21. How fitting. But it compares itself to MicroStrategy, now Strategy. So it's backed by Tether and SoftBank, the biggest bank in Japan, and Tether, which has a very big connection to all of this. Now, it's also in conjunction with Cantor Fitzgerald, where it's now in this $3.6 billion venture deal. See, it mentions SoftBank and Tether. Now, who was the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald? Well, would you look at here? It's Howard Lutnick, this guy in the back right corner here of this picture, who is leading the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve and is in charge of the United States Sovereign Wealth Fund when they actually start to get one. So now would you look at here? Look, I'm just connecting a few dots here, folks, but let's look at Cantor Fitzgerald portfolio and really see where they are as far as evaluating companies. Well, Cantor Fitzgerald's portfolio is literally 40% MSTR, right? So what Howard Lutnick has been doing is he's been researching and looking into the best and most efficient ways for companies to be investing in, right? For a long period of time. So he's been looking at MSTR and combing through it with a fine-tuned toothbrush right here, right? So we see Cantor Fitzgerald, huge holding of MSTR, but you also see it's got NVIDIA. It's got Tesla, also a holder of Bitcoin, AMD, Rumble, IBIT, the Bitcoin ETF, straight up. So all of these have a big exposure towards Bitcoin. And I think it is absolutely massive. But either way, we're seeing Cantor Fitzgerald join SoftBank and Tether, all with the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Mallers, one of the biggest and most bullish guys on Bitcoin that there is. Jack Mallers gets on CNBC all the time, talks and gasses up Bitcoin, but he has a big connection to the traditional financial world. And now, let's face it, Strike is one of the most well-known companies in Bitcoin strictly because of that, right? So what are these guys seeing? They're seeing a lot of other companies start to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Look, we're looking at 34 companies a year and a half ago, right? We're looking at these publicly traded companies, 500,000 Bitcoin, but all of these Bitcoin companies are companies that are holding Bitcoin are increasing their balance, right? They are starting to see that and continue to rise up and increase that holding. So I think it's interesting here that we are seeing all of this, and we are seeing publicly and privately traded companies, Bitcoin mining trading companies, ETFs, all looking to scoop up as much Bitcoin as physically possible. So all of these companies are trying to do it. And the unique aspect of what 21 did here is they announced it after the fact. They said, hey, we bought 42,000 worth of Bitcoin and we did it quietly, right? We bought it 15x more than MicroStrategy did at their first buy. And now we are seeing other publicly traded companies start to move towards that, all because of what we saw from that move at the FASB, the accounting regulations drastically changing, allowing for companies to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So this infinite money glitch, as I lined out here, or the flywheel effect, whatever you want to coin that term as, is accelerating, right? We already saw it. GameStop, as I mentioned earlier, bought Bitcoin for $1.3 billion right away. That's 250 million, or the first MSTR buy was 250 million. So it was significantly more than what we are seeing here from MSTR originally. And it's also, a third of what we are seeing from now this company 21. And all of this is coming on the backs of SoftBank and Tether. Now, I haven't gotten into it yet, but the connection with Tether with this makes this very, very interesting to me. Because although we know SoftBank and Donald Trump have had a relationship of sorts, we can call it, the biggest bank in Japan, Donald Trump has mentioned the CEO there, in interviews since he's recently been elected. He's talked to all of them and, talked to all of that. But I think the interesting aspect is that Tether is currently the 17th largest holder of government debt, with nearly as much in treasury bonds in its digital assets as Saudi Arabia. Tether's value remains stable because it is pegged to $1 to $1, meaning that the value of each individual Tether coin is $1. So we have very large government entities with Cantor Fitzgerald, or large connections to government entities with Cantor Fitzgerald now being the United States Sovereign Wealth Fund director. And now we have Tether, a huge holder in government bonds, now looking at this. So I think it's very peculiar, and the connection to the United States government cannot be understated, because we're seeing more of these Bitcoiners get involved with the United States government. And who knows, soon maybe Jack Mallers will be in there talking to Donnie T. But in the meantime, 42,000 Bitcoin is absolutely massive. Its mission is to maximize Bitcoin ownership per share. 21 is expected to offer investors a single Bitcoin vehicle with pro Bitcoin advocacy and Bitcoin focused content and media, with plans to explore the future. Is this man, I'm on the hot seat? If they're talking about media here, am I on the hot seat or what? These Bitcoin podcasters and guys blowing into a mic, I might have to watch out for my job here. I'm just kidding. But as McLovin in the chat is saying, it seems inevitable that other billionaires and mega corporations are going to be envious of Saylor is winning so hard. My guy, always, I appreciate you, McLovin. Hit the like. Keep the food on the table for you, boy. I still remember when he did it in 2020, around 400 million. It was crazy. Alex Ochoa in the chat. Yes, I agree with you. No, Barry White, I am not short Bitcoin. You've lost your mind. I'm a little vertically challenged, but I'm not short in Bitcoin. That's the only thing short in this room right now. So, what we are seeing is now 15, nearly 16 times that buy, right? So 3.9 billion compared to the 250 million is 50.6. And Jack Mallers is behind it all. The legend there. He's been studying all of this. They've debuted with a $585 million in capital raised through PIPE financing and convertible notes, with funds earmarked for additional Bitcoin purchases and general operations. Tether, a co-founder in the venture, has committed to acquiring Bitcoin equivalent to the full PIPE raise ahead of closing. So I think that there's a lot of catalysts that we are seeing here, but we aren't seeing, or no, maybe we are starting to see this price action. Everybody was a little bearish here not too long ago, a few weeks ago. I've been banging the drum for you guys, saying that Bitcoin is going to recover. We're going to start to see this come back up. And now we're starting to see a rebound. I think everybody is starting to get a little bit jacked up. You feel it in your plums when you start to see this rise up. You're starting to get excited again about what we're looking at with Bitcoin, right? And I'm starting to get so excited that I want to hand you guys more and more free sats. So get your Bitcoin ready, your Bitcoin wallets ready, because the Bitcoin bull is supporting Bitcoin companies. So support the Bitcoin well. But these psychopaths over here, every time you buy Bitcoin, they will give you a chance to win 1 million sats. So with that, look at this on the side. For every $3, they give you 3 wishing well tokens for every $10, 5 for every $10 recurring buy. Set up that recurring DCA, $10 every single day. Look at that. You'll be stacking so many wishing well tokens that you'll be able to potentially win 1 million sats. You'll get that all back. Either way, I'm going to give you some free sats here right now. So get your Lightning wallets ready, because this is going on in. So the other thing that's great about Bitcoin Well, as I'm giving you 210 sats straight to the dome piece, if you sign up at bitcoinwell.com/green candle, you will get 500 wishing well tokens straight off the dome, ready to go. So you can do that. You go sign up. The the page will look like this. You enter email here, or if you want to make a 50K stack purchase, you can go to their OTC desk, scroll on down here, hit this button, book a call. They've got the best white glove service in the game, and there's zero counterparty risk because it is all self-custody, non-custodial, right? So to help you out with that self-custody, I've partnered with Bitbox. You could go to bitbox.swiss. So that is literally this word right here, .swiss/green candle. You could buy yourself one of these. I prefer the Bitcoin only edition, but you can get whatever you'd like and then get your steel wallet, stamp your seed phrase in there. With all of this, they give you the full kit. You can use promo code Green Candle, get 5% off. So not only will I help you stack sats and self-custody with Bitcoin Well and earn some of those, I'll help you save a little sats too, because we're looking at something right here. We were at like 16K 2.5 years ago. It's all good. Tranquilo, amigos. Relax over here. We're all good, having a good time. And remember, 5 years ago, what Michael Saylor started to do, buy Bitcoin at the rate that he was buying, was absolutely insane. People were looking at him as he was nuts. This whole flywheel strategy, infinite money glitch, this is something that people were looking at, and it wasn't even fully developed by Michael Saylor just yet, right? Like, people are starting to look at this and realize the pure genius behind it. Everybody was really cautionary with this originally. And now what do we see? We see literally Donald Trump getting bullish on Bitcoin. We see Howard Lubnick in the background, who is running the US sovereign wealth fund, who's extremely bullish on Bitcoin and extremely bullish on companies providing value while being Bitcoin companies. I mean, look at this. It is unprecedented for a hedge fund to have this much exposure to a single company, right? They say if you want to keep your wealth, you diversify. But if you want to get wealthy, get a lot of money, right? You singularly focus. Now, what did Cantor Fitzgerald do? They singularly focused on companies with Bitcoin and all around it. And to be honest, in times like this, it very much helps, right? You get the green, 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 red. The one red year is the only time you got to worry about it. But outside of that, you get these leverage plays on Bitcoin. So we're seeing Bitcoin start to pump back. Now, year to date, we're about even. All right, everybody was crying because these were literally all red yesterday. 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 6 months. But look, we get a little bit of a pump ski here. We get a little bit of sky rockets in flight. Woo! Afternoon delight. You know, we get a little pump ski here. And look what we've got. Once we get this, you start to see everybody start to flip the script. Everybody start to get a little bit more bullish. Everybody's a little bit more chippy. You got a little bit more pep in your step. But just remember, folks, you got to hold it in self-custody, right? Because we are seeing these ETFs. Look at how many fucking big. Oh, man. Sorry, this is a kid show. Look at how many. I mean, man, pardon my French here, but look at how much Bitcoin these ETFs got. This is astronomical. 1.3 million. The country's got over 500,000. Look, Michael Saylor almost has as much Bitcoin as countries around the globe. What does that tell you? Right? And then we're seeing companies like GameStop come in. And I don't think GameStop's going to be the last one. I don't think 21 is going to be the last one. I think a lot of what we are seeing here is other companies and corporations start to come up. And Bitcoin Bull is saying hash rate is up. Nations are mining Bitcoin like never before. Exactly, right? They're finding other ways to accumulate Bitcoin. And I think that's the underlying message from all here is that, hey, we've got to be quiet with our Bitcoin buys so people don't take our strategy, so to speak, right? So McLovin saying red days, more sats per dollar, green days, net worth increases, always winning. Amen to that, brother, because more people are looking at strategies in order to accumulate more and more Bitcoin themselves. Nation states are doing the same, and same with businesses. These whole aspects of what we are seeing are taking off, right? They're going to continue to rise. Like the methodology, the getting the big brains in a room and continuing to buy and buy and buy Bitcoin, that is going to continue over time. It's not slowing down. It's accelerating, right? And we're seeing companies come in and buy more dollars worth of Bitcoin right away. So the amount of Bitcoin that is on exchanges now is going to quickly get wiped away. These miners are going to be, forced to sell maybe to pay some bills, and then they're going to have to be paired in with these big time buyers, right? So I think that this is going to be big. It's going to be amazing, right? Down under blues, he says he's sorry he's late. Sorry for the wait, brother, but we're here. We're ripping and roaring, man. You missed the skyrockets in flight because of we've got a good day going. We're seeing this pump ski. Everybody's getting hyped up. But let's not get sidetracked here. The big thing is the connection with the government here, right? What Tether has is kind of peculiar. The amount of US government bonds and debts is absolutely is insane. The company backs the total value of crypto with dollar assets with 140 billion deposited with Cantor Fitzgerald. The connection, connecting a few dots here, what we've gotten is literally Tether, Paulo Arduino, connected with Cantor Fitzgerald, Howard Lubnick here, who is the director of the Sovereign Wealth Fund for Donald Trump, the most powerful guy in the world, the United States president. So I think that all of these things, these connections are building up. We've seen Saylor in the White House with Eric Trump. We've seen a lot of other people in the White House with the Trumps, and we've seen the crypto council, so to speak. But I think all of these connections are just leading to more and more Bitcoiners being aligned in the White House, which is just bullish for the United States and everybody that is holding Bitcoin to continue to see where we are going to pump. Everybody seems to be excited that we're out of these 80K range, even though Down Under Blues is saying we've got a little bit of a resistance. But I think, as Bitcoin Bull is saying, this is a snowball effect into infinity. So smoke the like Cheech and Chong, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend, because we are pumping, folks. And thank you guys all for joining me on another great live stream.